Hi everyone, welcome back. If you're new to this channel, my name is Aga and this is Casa, Tulu, Bali. So about 8 months ago, we paid a deposit for a small block of land in Bali, and we were hoping to build villa of our dreams called Casa Tulu. We thought the journey would actually be quite straightforward, but in reality, there was delays, surprises, lessons learned, and a few moments there where we kind of thought, is this thing ever going to be finished? So in this video, I'm going to recap our journey over the last 8 months, the highs, the lows, the biggest lessons that I've learned investing and building in Bali, and share what's next in this exciting journey of Casa Tulu. But before I get started, it would be very helpful if you could like this video, and if you want more updates, please, if you like, please hit that subscribe button.
Measuring just under 5,800 square kilometers, Bali now packs in 731 people per square kilometer, and that's excluding the tourists.
So 8 months ago, we decided we wanted to build or buy actually something in Bali. And what we realized that all the property that was already developed and ready to go was actually quite old, and the lease available was quite short. So we finally, begrudgingly, got talked into buying something off the plan. So we looked all around Bali, all the different areas, but there were a couple of things that were important to us. So one, the budget. We just sold an apartment in Brisbane, so we wanted to use the profits on that to flip that into a property in Bali. Two, location. For us, married, no kids, it was really important that we had access to things like the gym, the beach, great restaurants. So we chose Perennian, which is very near Canggu. And the last thing really for us was making sure that we had access to everything. So I'm going to talk about the early stages, what it takes to basically get onto the property ladder there. So we worked with a real estate agent, Property of Bali, very good, very helpful. And once you start fine-tuning what you want, the process is fairly straightforward. So before anything happens, you got to pay deposit. To pay that deposit, you need to agree on what they call intention to purchase, an ITP contract, and that will state at a very high level all the things that you have agreed with the developer and the real estate agent of what, when, how will be used to put into that development. So there'll be things like any additional things that you've agreed upon, the cost and the delivery times of that. They adhere that to quite strictly, and with that you go to your notary, you pay your 10% deposit, and you start the process. During that period is a due diligence period where your notary will actually do a lot of the due diligence on the developer, the owner of the development, and the leaseholder, and that's probably about a week. And in that week, if all things go well, you then need to pay your next big chunk of money, which is about 30%. So within a week or so of you deciding to buy, you're going to have to put down 40% of the purchase price to get that start. Once that's done, you'll get a contract for not only the lease, but also the ownership of the property above the land that you've leased. And they are two very different contracts for what I've found. ITP, very detailed about everything that you've agreed upon, when, how much. Contract is really a high level about the obligations of all the parties in terms of lease and the building and who owns and how things are able to move forward. So be aware that those are the two contracts. If there are any disputes, it will go back to the ITP if it is a building or structural or a delivery thing, but the contract itself is the legal document for the payment schedule and when things are due and when things are handed over. So now that you've got that out of the way, you can start looking at, in our case, development or the building of the land. When we started, it was literally a hole in the ground. It was the hole where the swimming pool would eventually be. A couple of structures, but there wasn't a lot there, so you have to use a lot of your imagination. We found, after looking at the renders, there was a few things that we wanted to change. So the first of all was we wanted to extend the bathroom to be able to add a bathtub and a skylight, and we also wanted to add a terrace where we could enjoy drinks and watch the sunset every night. So those were communicated to the developer. It goes into your ITP, you agree a price, and you get started. I think what's important for us was that we had a developer that was willing and able to basically talk to us and kind of meet all our whims about what we wanted to do with the property. We didn't want to extensively change it, but there were little things that we wanted, and they have been very good to not only listen but also understand what we wanted to do. Now, having said that, nothing is ever done until it's done. So there are a couple of things that I can remember in my head. One was the skyway, so the walkway between the master bedroom and the spare bedroom, and what was the material that was going to go across there. Originally it was going to be concrete, then it was going to be wood. My aim had always been glass because I think it's a beautiful view into the living, dining and kitchen area, but I was told it was not safe. As you will see, we finally went with glass, and I'm glad we've done that. Now, that conversation was more than one or two, maybe even three, right down to the last minute when we actually got glass on the terrace, that we actually agreed to put glass in the skywalk, and in fact they had to knock down the structure that they had kind of started building there, which was a bit unfortunate. But you do need developers that you can work with and have these conversations with, otherwise you're going to be very frustrated that you have asked for something and it wasn't delivered. So the villa was meant to be completed in March, end of March actually, and we were away. We had family health issues, so we were away for a large time, but we weren't that concerned. We were more concerned about having a completed beautiful villa than a villa that was just completed because of the date. So if you are pressed on time, I would make sure that you add some flexibility in that. This year was one of the wettest seasons they've had, which meant there was delay not only in the construction but also delay in the delivery of goods. Once the rain stopped though, construction went full on and things just seemed to go from strength to strength, and in fact week by week things were just getting done. And in the final stages, those last 2 weeks, I was shocked that we went from kind of no windows to interior, which I expected because you had to be at lockup to be able to work on the interior, to basically almost ready to be handed over. All of that happened within, I'm going to say, 2 to 3 weeks. So although the progress was slow up to that stage, the progress then went very, very fast. Once you get to almost lockup, there's a few things that I would highly recommend you do. You need to go on site and check that all those changes that you've requested have happened. Things like power sockets, are they in the right place? Is the lighting wired for the right place? Is the wiring for the TVs in the right place? Have the lights in the roof been reset because of the repositioning of certain things in? So all of these things are little things, and sometimes they get missed. Once again, if you have a good developer that you can work with, these are very, very small things that can be fixed and not very expensive in Bali. So the last thing to really talk about now is our cost. So the original purchase price, 2 bedroom, 2 bathroom, 2-story with the pool and everything else, was $219,000 US. We added the terrace and the bathroom modifications for another $16,000 US. Then we had the decking, which was another $2,500 US, and then the glass that went from literally the terrace down to Skyway. So that was another, I think it's about $3,000. Furniture and interior design and styling, another $20,000. So if you add all of that up, I think we get to close to $260,000 US. What does that mean in terms of your ROI or for us? So we're fortunately, villa number 2 has just gone onto the market on a surprisingly night rate of 200 euros per night, which is well in excess of what we thought we would would get. Nothing against the villa, but it's not staged as nicely, it's very basic, and more importantly, it's actually rented for the next couple of months during the next high season. So we're very excited about putting this on the market. Night rates are already higher than we're expected. Now, if we just take those costs and extend them out, we would anticipate that we'd get a return on our investment at $260,000 US will be paid back within the next 5 years. So before our next video, I just want to thank everyone for your support, your comment, and all the love you've given us. I'm very excited to show you the reveal before we put it to the market. And for me, this week, that's it. And I look forward to seeing you on the next video.